Hola y bienvenidos, buen día, bienvenidos a otro segmento más de el Polaris Control Summit 2021. Hoy tenemos a ICE Cable Systems y tenemos de ICE Cable Systems al señor Bob Neyens. Él es el gerente de productos, de ventas y de mercadeo para ICE Cables y tiene alrededor de 11 años en la empresa. So, Bob, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Bob. I'm with ICE Cable, and I've been with the company for about 10 years now. I'm the product manager, and I do sales and marketing. And I forgot, am I going to be pausing for translation, or should I just continue through in English?
You can continue in English. If there's some questions, I'm going to translate them to you, and then we'll translate it back. So,
gotcha. Okay, well, I'll pause for those sort of questions. So hopefully today, excuse me, today's going to be fun. We have some interesting stuff to go over. We spent a lot of time compiling all this information, so we look forward to sharing the results. It should take about 45 minutes, and then we'll get to some questions at the end. So let's see here. Here we go. So here are the things that we're going to look at today. The ICE competitive advantage, and some of you guys probably already know this information, but we're going to set the foundation of what you get with ICE. Actually, that part we're not going to, excuse me, get too much into. I forgot the purpose of today was Cat 6A training. Sorry, it's early in the morning for me here. So we'll talk about what you get with ICE, just to set a foundation, and then we'll get into on why you should be using Cat 6A as your standard, and then we'll have some questions on what some of the other companies are doing out in the market, selling their Cat 6A, and what you should be looking out for. So let's see here. So real quick, we'll just hit on what you get with ICE. You get full proper performance, the BMP box. You get below market pricing, so you're getting a quality product that's built right at below market pricing. It comes in the best box in the industry. It has our strong cardboard reinforced handles, and so this is really what kind of put us on the map. And so when we talk about pricing and pricing on Cat 6A, it's a very popular cable. We often get asked, how can companies sell the other products for less? How can they, how are they able to do that? What are some of the shortcuts that they can do to try and compromise performance? So when you're looking at on cable in general, look for a UL standard, look for shaving copper. A lot of customers out there will shave copper. They'll use non-compliant compounds, non-Real-X coils. They'll actually shorten the lengths of the cables and use cheap fall-apart boxes. So there's a lot of things that they can do to cheapen the cable. What we did is actually bought product from all the different manufacturers out there, including 6, 6A, 7, so on. And here's what we found. So we have 6A on here, 5, 6, 6A, and you can see a lot of different manufacturers have failed performance testing. As you can see at the top, 20% of Cat 5s failed, 46% of Cat 6, 40% of Cat 6A on the right side there. You can see the failure rates and performance of Cat 6A. So So I just wanted to start off with that and just mention kind of what's going on in the market when we talk about a high-end cable like Cat 6A and why you want to choose one. Not only do you want to choose 6A or better, but you want to choose one that has correct performance, because a lot of companies out there are selling product like on the low end where 40% of it isn't actually matching performance. So just to set the table with quality and performance. So in the market right now, a lot of customers have standardized on Cat 6. And, you know, I remember 20 years ago, it used to be Cat 5, and slowly that has turned into Cat 6. That's been the most popular. But today, we recommend that customers have a minimum of Cat 6A. And the reason for that is there's a few reasons. One is 10 gig performance. So with a Cat 6A cable, you can get 10 gigabit per second performance, which if you are have a Wi-Fi 6 router or any sort, like Wi-Fi 6 is now the main standard in the industry. Wi-Fi 6 uses 10 gig networking. So if you're going into a customer's house and they're going to want to wire for the latest networking, they're going to need 10 gig. And in order to get 10 gig, you're going to have to use Cat 6A. So that's, you know, one of the main first reasons. The second reason on why you'd want to use Cat 6A or higher is because of everyone has 5G phones. That's a popular way to communicate right now is 5G. You have to have double the network latency on your wired network than you have to have on your wireless network. So that's the recommended by the cell phone organization. So a 5G network needs a 10G backbone in order to cover the latency of the Wi-Fi, the wireless signal. So what that means is if you want your cell phone to have the same speed as your home network, then you would need at least a 10 gig, once again, a 10 gig network in order to match your cell phone speed. So a lot of customers, of course, wouldn't want to have a faster network connection on their phone than in their house. So because of that, again, we recommend 6A as the main minimum. The next reason is, let me get over here, PoE. So with Cat 6A, you're getting a full 23 gauge of copper. It has a higher twist rate. So the amount of copper that is inside the cable is more, so it can actually hold more current. So with that, you're going to get a full PoE capability. You're going to be able to do long distance runs, and by that, with Cat 6A, you could do up to 100 meters of 10 gig networks in a house. So that's the minimum. You know, 100 meters is not the full I'm sorry, 100 feet is the 10 gig. It's not the 100 meter maximum that you would have on Cat 7 or Cat 8, which we also sell. So that's one thing to keep in mind. 6A is fine for shorter runs, you know, for maybe one floor to the next. But if you have a big house then you're going to need an even higher performing cable. And for that, we sell Cat 7 and 8, which will give you longer run distances of 10 gig. But as a minimum, 6A is what you're going to need. And we're talking about just a little bit of copper that some of these other companies, when we look at 6A pricing, ICE is very competitive 6A pricing, but some of the competitors out there, and we're not talking about like Belden or Liberty, you know, those guys are okay, but some of the local customers that you run into, they shave down their copper. We did a test and 43% of the competitors that we looked at had shaved down their copper. So not all Cat 6A is rated equal. Let's see here, I'm skipping ahead. And so that's pretty much the main points. I guess I'll pause to see if anyone had any questions. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, there's a few questions, Bob, regarding why the standard nowadays has to be 6A at least in a house, in terms of bandwidth, capacities, etc. There's a few questions on that already.
Okay. Well, the bandwidth in a house, it has to be 10 gig, like I was saying, because of Wi-Fi 6 routers. And that's the main use in a house. Wi-Fi 6 is the standard. If you go shopping right now for a Wi-Fi router, you know, Wi-Fi 6 is the latest standard, and that requires a 10 gig connection. And for that, you would need at least a Cat 6A cable. So that's the main home use. And then again, matching performance to your cell phone so that your cell uses the same bandwidth as your home. And then also HD base T products. If you are using a Balun to do 4K, then you would want to use a Cat 6A cable because it would give you the full performance, usually a longer run length. On short runs, you could probably get away with a Cat 6, you know, like on 20 feet or, you know, something like that. But certainly as your runs get 50 feet and longer, it's important to have a Cat 6A cable, which is 500 megahertz. So a Cat 6A is 500 megahertz, and a Cat 6 is only 250 megahertz. So it's double. You're getting double.
Yeah. Second question they have here is there a recommendation on wire type between racks in a space or between switches in a space? Should they consider perhaps going up to 7? Is 6A sufficient? Where do you stand on that?
Okay. Are there different cables in different spaces? Well, kind of. You can use the same Cat 6A cable in the wall, in the backbone between your routers. You can use it anywhere, and you can use it outside the wall as a jumper cable. I would say, though, most people use pre-made interconnects to go outside the wall, and we do have pre-made Cat 6A interconnects as well. And so you would want to use a Cat 6A interconnect outside the wall because it's made by a machine and its tolerances are very tight. When you terminate it inside yourself with the connectors, it's not quite as good as a machine could do it. So usually people use outside the wall. They'll use our interconnects, our Cat 6A interconnects, or if they're in the wall, then they use the bolt cable. And so we sell the Platinum Tools connectors. We're a distributor of Platinum tools. So we don't make our own, connectors. We have two different versions. We have the feed through type, where you can feed the conductors through. I could go to Platinum website if you want to see it. Actually, let me hop on our website real quick while I'm talking here. So the two types of cable, we have standard crimps and we have feed through. The feed through type is, some people don't like them. You've probably seen them before. Here's our standard crimp. I don't know if you could see my screen. Can you guys see my screen right now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah, it looks like you can. Okay, so this is the standard crimp. It's shielded. We sell Cat 6A in both shielded and unshielded. You could go either way, I guess. I would probably recommend the shielded Cat 6A, but we do sell them in either version. And then we also sell the wall plates, which, let's see. Okay, so here we have the Easy Cat 6A connector in the upper right, which has the feed through style connectors. You can see the feed through here, what I mean by that, where the conductors actually go through the front of the connector. We have those style, or we have just the standard crimp style here. And you can just use a normal crimp tool with these that you probably already have. Or with these type, with the feed through, you do need the special Cat 6A tool, which is here. So that's how you terminate it. As far as wall plates are concerned, we also do carry the quick port. So we have unshielded, I don't have a picture of it here, the quick port Cat 6A, or we have the shielded quick port as well. Those are just basically keystone inserts that you would fit into, a keystone wall plate. So that's basically the, the tooling that you would need. So above Cat 6A, like I was mentioning, we have Cat 7 as well, which is 600 megahertz. It's going to give you just a little bit of a speed bump. It's going to allow you to do the 10 gig a little bit further. I don't have it memorized off the top of my head. And then at the high end, if you really want to go crazy, we also have Cat 8, which jumps from 600 megahertz.
That was my next question. The Cat 8, where do you see that in application?
Okay, so there's a big jump in speed when we go from Cat 6A to Cat 6A is 500 megahertz, Cat 7 is 600 megahertz. But then when we jump to Cat 8, it's a huge jump up to 2000 megahertz. So it's almost, well, it is 4 times the speed of 6A. What this cable can do is 40 gig Ethernet up to 100 feet. So there is no current specification for 40 gig Ethernet. Like if you bought a router or whatever, there's no 40 gig routers on the market right now. There's plenty of 10 gig routers, but this will do, so this is more of a future proofing application. If you had, I assume one day there probably will be 40 gig networks in houses, then, you'd be wired for that. The other thing that this will do is 10 gig all the way out to 100 meters to 328 feet. So if you had a large house and you needed to run 10 gig, you could go long distances with this, which is nice. And then, of course, you have to have, if you have an Cat 8 cable, then you got to have Cat 8 connectors, and it's a special connector that has a printed circuit board in there. So if you jump to Cat 8, it does get a lot more expensive. You know, we're talking $12 connectors, and the cable is significantly expensive. What's nice about 6A is that you can use relatively cheap connectors. We're still talking about 50-cent connectors, you know, and instead of $12 connectors, and you're still able to get the 6A speeds, which Cat 6 can't give you, or the 10 gig speeds that Cat 6 can't give you. So that's why we recommend really 6A is the sweet spot. It can handle at least the minimum 10 gig that you need today just to handle current, even a Mac Mini. You buy a Mac Mini from Apple, it's got a 10 gig network card in it. So everything has got 10 gig now, even low-end PCs. So really, you need Cat 6A at a minimum nowadays if you're going to support even just a normal network. So, and then again, if you want to exceed that, we have different options, shielded or unshielded. That if you're going, we have Cat 6A and shielded or unshielded. If you're going inside a wall by some fluorescent lighting or some high current, some 600 volt high voltage, then you would probably want to use a shield. Once you hit Cat 7 and 8, it's all shielded. That there is no more of an option for an unshielded. So, and then one last note. We just
jumping to. Okay, go ahead.
All right, yeah, let me just mention too, we just came out with our Cat 6A slim diameter. This is a plenum one, but we slimmed down the jacket size so that it is thinner to fit through the wall. Sometimes people complain that Cat 6A jacket was too large, so we now have a slim diameter version which is easy and fits easier into the wall.
Excellent. Switching to audio now as our last question, because we are running out of time, unfortunately. Okay. Differences between your, let's say, primal FX oxygen free versus non-oxygen free, and that's going to be it.
Okay. So with primal, well, with all of our speaker cable, we start at the bottom with our primal cable. That still gives you our BMP box, which is the best box in the industry, but it's scaled down. It's going to come in still a BMP box, but not waterproof. It's a double-walled cardboard instead of a triple-walled cardboard. So the box is a little bit not as strong. The strand count is on all three cables is considered high strand, but on the primal cable, you're talking about like a 65 strand or a 42 strand on the 16 and 14 gauge. And then when you get up to the FX cable, we have 105 strand cable. So you're getting a higher strand as you go up the chain, so to speak. So in the middle CS, you are getting a sorry, someone's calling me. On the CS, you're getting still a thinner jacket, but it comes in the BMP box. And then on the FX on the high end, you're getting OFC copper, and it's also direct burial rated, so you can put it directly in the ground. And then the FX cable finally has the wet slick jacket, which is easier to pull through the wall, and it also has the tape to make it easier to strip the foil. I'm sorry, not the foil, the tissue. So those are mainly the differences. So we have options at the low end, which our primal competes mainly against like SDP or some of the lower end cables, and then our FX is at the high end pure copper, higher strand count, better box, better jacket. I think that answers your question.
And then one last question from an installer in Mexico. Why a box versus a spool and vice versa?
Okay. So it mainly depends on weight. Once the cable gets a certain weight, it will crush the box. And so like that Cat 6A direct burial that's on your screen there, you know, that has a shield, it has the gel inside of it to block out water, and so it just gets heavy. And so we could put, for instance, on the cable on your screen, we could put 500 feet in a box, but then we want to most people want 1,000 feet. So in order to give you the full 1,000 feet, we have to put it on a spool. We actually use very high quality wood. It's a premium quality spool that we provide. But then the reason that you'd want to use a box is because it's easy to pull from. You can stack multiple boxes on top of each other, and then you can pull all of them at one time, which makes installation easier. Our boxes also don't have any moving parts. So as you pull them, they don't have any momentum, and they don't continue spooling after you pull. And so for a lot of customers, they prefer the box when they can get it. It's just not an option as the cable gets heavier. But yeah, with the spools, some people have wire trees like that you put the spools on, and you can pull multiple spools at one time. That's another option, but then you have to have another wire tree to go with it, and the spools can keep spinning. And so it just depends. It's a preference thing, I guess. Some of our products also come on spools or boxes. You can choose, but most customers prefer our boxes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Bob. That'll be it for today. Thanks for your time. I know it's you're in Denver, so you're 2 hours behind us. So I appreciate accommodating the time slot for us. And we'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you guys. Sorry if I was a little sleepy to start
You
off.
guys will be at CEDIA this year?
What'd you say?
You guys will be at CEDIA this year or no?
Oh yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there with bells on. We're excited. So
excellent. All right, man.
Okay.
See
Thank you guys.
Bye, you too.